What if everything you believed about luxury was a carefully crafted illusion? That's exactly what the internet began to question when a former Hermes insider dropped a bombshell that no one saw coming. She claimed that the iconic Birkin bag, the ultimate status symbol, often priced over $40,000, wasn't being delicately hand-stitched in romantic French workshops as the brand had led us to believe. Instead, she said they were being churned out in Chinese factories under strict NDAs and marketing smokescreens. And she had proof: spreadsheets showing mass production logs, internal influencer coordination emails, and even footage from inside the factories. The revelations hit TikTok, Reddit, and fashion forums like a lightning bolt, and suddenly, the Hermes name was trending, for all the wrong reasons. But instead of backing down after Hermes hit her with a jaw-dropping $25 million lawsuit, this whistleblower doubled down. She released even more evidence: logistics documents, supply chain breakdowns, and brand deal timelines that connected the dots between high fashion, digital deception, and global outsourcing. And what began as a viral exposé quickly turned into something much bigger: a movement. Fashion watchdogs, former employees, and even influencers began questioning what they were really promoting. Because if the gold standard of luxury could lie about where their products were made, what other brands were doing the same thing? This wasn't just a scandal, it was a reckoning. And the fashion industry may never recover. Everyone expected the Hermes whistleblower to vanish the moment that $25 million lawsuit hit. Most people would have gone silent. Most people do, especially when they're up against a global luxury giant with unlimited legal firepower and everything to lose. But not her. Instead of backing down, she came back louder, bolder, and with evidence that would shake the fashion world to its core. She wasn't just the woman who exposed the truth behind the Birkin bag, she became a symbol of resistance against decades of luxury deception. The narrative had changed. This wasn't about a single product anymore. It was about the machinery behind the illusion. Her second wave of receipts wasn't a TikTok rant or a blurry screenshot. It was organized, time-stamped, and overwhelming. Over 140 pages of internal Hermes documents were uploaded to a leak-safe server. Factory production logs detailing batch shipments out of Shenzhen. Emails coordinating influencer campaigns to distract from sourcing questions. Calendar breakdowns showing exactly when and how content was pushed to maintain the Made in France illusion. This wasn't speculation. It was evidence. And it revealed a brand operating more like a covert corporation than a luxury house. But the most damning part? She didn't just expose where the bags were made, she exposed how Hermes maintained the lie. Through tightly timed influencer drops, NDA-bound factory workers, and a distribution model designed to obscure the truth from consumers. According to the documents, Hermes didn't just outsource production, it outsourced the narrative. This whistleblower wasn't just pulling back the curtain, she was tearing it down. And in doing so, she forced the fashion industry to face a question it had long avoided. What if luxury has been lying to us all along? It was the spreadsheet that broke the internet. Tucked among the whistleblower's mountain of leaked documents was one damning file: a cost analysis comparing Hermes production expenses to its retail pricing. On one line, a single Birkin bag was listed. Manufacturing cost, $713. Directly next to it, the retail price, $42,000. The math wasn't just shocking, it was infuriating. For years, consumers were led to believe they were paying for craftsmanship, scarcity, and heritage. Instead, they were paying a 5,700% markup on something that may have been assembled on an assembly line in a Chinese warehouse. What people thought was luxury now looked like exploitation in disguise. But numbers alone weren't what sparked outrage. It was the visuals. Leaked video footage showed rows of bright orange Hermes boxes, not in a romantic French countryside atelier, but stacked inside a loud, fluorescent-lit warehouse in Shenzhen. No master artisans, no signature hand-stitching, just conveyor belts, automated packaging lines, and factory workers wearing masks. It wasn't just a bad look, it was a complete contradiction of everything Hermes had sold to the public. That carefully curated image of exclusivity, of timeless tradition, it cracked wide open. And once you saw it, you couldn't unsee it. What followed was a flood of betrayal. For loyal Hermes clients, many of whom spent years on waiting lists, obsessing over craftsmanship and tradition. The footage hit like a punch to the gut. Reddit threads exploded. TikTok duets broke down the footage frame by frame. Fashion commentators, industry experts, and even former luxury employees chimed in. This wasn't about price anymore. It was about principle. The illusion had been shattered, and in its place stood a brutal truth. The luxury you thought you were buying may have just been a very expensive lie. For years, Kim Kardashian has been one of the most visible faces associated with Hermes. Her social media has doubled as a shrine to the Birkin, rare hues, exotic leathers, exclusive runway editions, all casually displayed like everyday accessories. To her millions of followers, it looked like genuine admiration for the world's most coveted luxury brand. But the leaked Hermes files tell a different story, one far more calculated. Buried in the documents was a marketing blueprint labeled Influencer Distraction Waves, a strategic initiative designed to drown out bad press by flooding timelines with luxury content. And front and center in that playbook, Kim Kardashian. The pattern is now impossible to ignore. Every time whispers of factory outsourcing or labor abuse surfaced, Kim's social feeds lit up with glossy Birkin content. Closet tours, handbag reveals, and curated outfit pairings centered around her Hermes collection. But this wasn't random. According to the Whistleblower's documents, these moments weren't just spontaneous brand love. They were part of a paid diversion strategy. Kim's involvement wasn't disclosed as traditional advertising. Instead, the compensation was disguised under vague labels like creative partnerships or hidden within broader brand budgets, allowing her to sidestep the scrutiny of sponsored content regulations. This revelation sparked a wave of backlash. Critics accused Kim of using her influence not just to sell handbags, but to actively shield a brand accused of deceiving its customers. The betrayal felt personal for fans who had trusted her lifestyle as aspirational, not transactional. It raised difficult questions about influencer responsibility and transparency, especially when billions of dollars and global reputations are on the line. Because if Kim Kardashian, a figure known for monetizing every moment, was silently paid to post during Hermes scandals, then how many other luxury moments were really just crisis cover-ups in disguise? It turns out Kim Kardashian was just the beginning. According to the Whistleblower's leaked files, Hermes allegedly ran a full-fledged celebrity distraction network, a curated rotation of high-profile influencers and A-listers tasked with deflecting attention anytime the brand faced controversy. The internal term? Public impression coordination. The strategy? Simple. When factory leaks or labor allegations surfaced online, a wave of Birkin content would flood social media. Celebrities like Drake, Kylie Jenner, and even Victoria Beckham were named in the rotation, allegedly receiving six-figure payouts or untraceable gifting agreements to flaunt their bags publicly. Their job wasn't to explain or defend, it was to redirect. This wasn't traditional marketing, it was crisis management disguised as luxury lifestyle, and it worked for years. Hermes would find itself in headlines over questionable labor practices or whistleblower claims, and within 24 to 48 hours, red carpets, paparazzi shots, and Instagram posts would magically feature stars cradling Birkins like badges of loyalty. The tactic was psychological. If the world saw their favorite icon still buying in, still carrying the bags, then how bad could it really be? But TikTok sleuths weren't fooled for long. They began compiling screenshots, timelines, and press cycles, exposing a disturbing pattern where controversy was quickly muffled by celebrity noise. What once looked like admiration for luxury began to feel like calculated complicity. Fans took to Reddit and Twitter, expressing betrayal and disappointment, not just in the brand, but in the influencers they trusted. Some called it propaganda, others compared it to a digital smokescreen. And the anger wasn't just about Hermes anymore, it was about how deeply entangled celebrity culture had become in protecting powerful corporations. Influencer marketing had evolved into something far more sinister, influencer shielding. And for many consumers, this marked a breaking point. They no longer saw a Birkin as a dream purchase. They saw it as a symbol of silence. What started as one woman's whistleblowing quickly morphed into a full-blown digital manhunt. Within hours of the document dump, TikTok transformed into a detective agency, and Reddit turned into a forensic archive. Thousands of users across the globe began analyzing every frame of influencer videos, matching closet tour timestamps with leaked logistics logs. One viral side-by-side TikTok, juxtaposing Kim Kardashian's Birkin closet with a shipping spreadsheet from a Shenzhen warehouse, racked up over 12 million views in just 2 days. It wasn't just viral, it was surgical. The internet wasn't waiting for the media to investigate, they were doing it themselves. Reddit's r/luxury leaks became ground zero. The subreddit ballooned to over 300,000 members almost overnight, with users dissecting everything from customs declarations to influencer marketing contracts. The sense of betrayal wasn't passive, it was kinetic. Comment sections lit up with furious ex-Hermes buyers, luxury collectors, and even former employees offering anonymous insights. Hashtags like #RarkLuxuryLie, Why Birkingate, and Boycott Hermes trended for days, dominating both fashion discourse and mainstream news feeds. The public had gone from admiration to interrogation, and Hermes was no longer a symbol of taste. It was a case study in deception, and the backlash hit fast. Influencers who had once proudly flaunted their Hermes collections suddenly went radio silent. Their Birkin reels vanished. Instagram highlights disappeared. Archived stories were stripped clean. The resale market, once red hot, took a serious hit. Birkin bag search traffic dropped nearly 40% in a matter of days. Buyers weren't just hesitating, they were recoiling. The image of elegance that Hermes had so carefully curated for decades was now being unraveled by digital sleuths, edit by edit, frame by frame. For the first time in modern luxury fashion history, the power had shifted, not to a journalist, not to a competitor, but to the internet itself. Just as Hermes tried to silence the whistleblower with a $25 million lawsuit in Europe, a new and even more dangerous legal storm was brewing in the United States. In California, a class action lawsuit was filed that went straight for the jugular, not over handbags being made in China, but over how those handbags were being sold. The plaintiffs alleged that Hermes was violating antitrust laws by forcing customers to spend tens of thousands of dollars on other merchandise, scarves, shoes, perfumes, before they were even considered for a chance to buy a Birkin. In the luxury world, this practice had long been whispered about, but now it was in writing, and it was in court. The most damning piece? Leaked sales training slides included in the whistleblower's document dump that explicitly instructed Hermes staff to build a purchase history before offering a Birkin or Kelly bag. Employees were reportedly trained to prioritize clients who had already bought into the brand's ecosystem. This tactic, known in legal terms as tying, is a direct violation of antitrust law when it manipulates access to high-demand goods. It's not just unethical, it's potentially illegal. And the California lawsuit wasn't just targeting Hermes. It was aiming to set a legal precedent that could disrupt the entire luxury fashion industry, where similar pay-to-play schemes are common behind the scenes. If the lawsuit succeeds, it won't just dent Hermes's reputation. It could force the brand to completely restructure how it does business. The ripple effect could hit other elite houses like Chanel, Dior, and Louis Vuitton, all of whom have been rumored to employ similar tactics. For decades, exclusivity has been luxury's most powerful marketing tool. But this lawsuit threatens to expose that exclusivity as a manufactured illusion, one that penalizes everyday consumers while rewarding only the wealthiest insiders. In courtrooms and headlines, Hermes may soon have to answer not just for where its bags are made, but for the way it turned access itself into a luxury commodity. The tremors from the Hermes scandal didn't stop at the walls of its Paris headquarters. They echoed through the entire luxury fashion world. Behind closed doors, brands that had long stood atop pedestals of prestige were now bracing for impact. Executives at LVMH, Chanel, Cartier, and other major fashion houses reportedly held late-night crisis meetings to assess their vulnerability. One leaked text from a senior executive at a rival brand said it all. "Need a transparency plan now. If this domino falls, we're all exposed." The panic wasn't hypothetical, it was systemic, because Hermes wasn't just a luxury brand, it was the blueprint. And now, that blueprint was under attack. Suddenly, brands that had leaned heavily on terms like heritage, timeless craftsmanship, and made in Italy began scrubbing their language. Influencer campaigns were quietly paused or rewritten. PR teams were instructed to soft launch new products with less aggressive branding. Internally, companies scrambled to audit their own supply chains, terrified that similar leaks could expose them next. It became clear that the Hermes scandal wasn't an isolated controversy. It was a litmus test for the entire industry's survival. Because if the most respected name in luxury could be dragged into a global scandal involving deceptive marketing and potential legal violations, no one was untouchable. This wasn't just a branding crisis, it was an existential reckoning. For decades, luxury brands have relied on the myth of scarcity, the illusion of craftsmanship, and the loyalty of aspirational buyers. But the internet has shifted the balance of power. Whistleblowers, digital detectives, and everyday consumers now hold the tools to dismantle even the most carefully curated brand stories. As Hermes fights for its credibility in court and on social media, its competitors are left asking one terrifying question. If they couldn't protect their secrets, how can we? The era of unquestioned luxury dominance may be coming to an end, and the entire industry knows it. The Hermes scandal wasn't just a blow to one brand, it cracked the foundation of the entire luxury fashion narrative. For decades, consumers were sold a dream, that luxury meant legacy, that every stitch on a Birkin bag was sewn by an artisan in a sunlit French atelier, and that owning one meant stepping into a world of heritage and exclusivity. But the leaked footage, factory spreadsheets, and internal marketing plans told a very different story. Suddenly, the French fantasy looked manufactured. And if the most iconic status symbol of them all was built on illusion, then consumers were left wondering, what else have we been lied to about? In 2025, the shift in consumer behavior is seismic. Buyers aren't just looking for logos, they want receipts. They want transparency, traceability, and truth. No more vague claims of craftsmanship. No more relying on influencer endorsements or glossy runway shows. The new luxury standard is evidence. Shoppers want to know where their products come from, who made them, and under what conditions. Because now, they realize that they haven't just been paying for leather and branding, they've been investing in stories. And if that story turns out to be fiction, the trust is gone, and so is the desire to spend. Especially in an age where TikTok exposés can destroy decades of prestige in a matter of hours. The power has officially shifted. No longer can luxury brands hide behind heritage marketing and carefully curated mystique. Social media users have become watchdogs. Consumers have become investigators. And Gen Z? They're not impressed by exclusivity. They demand accountability. The Hermes scandal didn't just expose a lie. It ignited a movement, one where luxury can no longer survive on fantasy alone. In a post-scandal world, brands must choose, evolve with transparency, or be left behind in a digital age that no longer tolerates deception. Because the real question is no longer what are we buying, it's what are we being sold. Hermes thought they could bury the truth with a $25 million lawsuit, but instead they amplified it. The whistleblower didn't just hold her ground. She turned the spotlight around, exposing a system built on secrecy, manipulation, and illusion. And now, the entire luxury industry is trembling. This isn't about cancel culture. It's about consequence culture. The public isn't blindly worshiping logos anymore. They're demanding transparency. If a brand claims heritage, it better show the hands behind the work. If it claims craftsmanship, it better show the process. Because in 2025, marketing isn't enough. People want proof. And when the receipts are this detailed, this damning, and this public, there's no going back. The Hermes fantasy, the myth of handcrafted French elegance of timeless exclusivity, is unraveling. And in its place stands a consumer base more powerful and informed than ever. TikTok detectives, Reddit investigators, and whistleblowers are rewriting the rules of fashion accountability. Every influencer flaunting a Birkin is now met with skepticism. Every six-figure price tag demands justification. The veil has been lifted, and what was once aspirational now feels artificial. If luxury brands want to survive this new era, they'll need more than status. They'll need substance. Because the fantasy may be dead, but the receipts, they're just getting started.